All right, folks, a few years ago, I did a video where I took charting software and examined a lake and showed you where I would start out fishing. That's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to take a lake I've never been to, and I'm going to look at it and kind of break it down as to what I would look for. I don't know anything about this lake except for its acreage. Justin sent in this lake to me to take a look at. It's in West Virginia, so I've been wanting to do some of these. There have been some issues with the software, and I'll save that rant for the end if you want to see it. It's about Garmin and some of the stuff they've done, but let's get on to this lake. This lake is in West Virginia. It's called Stonewall Jackson Lake. It's a Corps of Engineers lake. How the heck it's still called Stonewall Jackson in today's world, I have no idea, but I'm glad the name stuck around. It's about 2,600 acres, and it's very, very mountainous. I did look at some pictures of it very quickly online. Very riverine, winding through some mountain valleys, and I've got some software here that I'm going to look at it on. Not the software I had preferred to look at it with, but I'll put you a link down in the description where you can find this stuff to take a look at this. So I'm going to zoom in here, go up toward where the dam is, and that's up in this area here. And it looks like there's some deeper water here, 45, 60, maybe some stuff right around the dam there, a little hole. As you can tell, very steep edges, a lot of these lines close together. That's what this cursor is doing down here. Anytime you see those steep lines, that's going to show a place where it's going, where the bank is very steep. The flatter it is, the further the lines are apart. What I look for, kind of start at the dam. You can see some of the deeper water on a place like this. And just kind of looking around for stuff that looks different than everything around it. You get in a place like this, and on the surface you don't know what's down there, but this kind of software will give you an idea. I always say when you're going down a lake, you can get an idea of what is underneath the water by what is on the bank. If you've got a very steep bank, odds are it's going to go very steep into the water. If you've got a very flat bank, you've probably got a shallow area there. Here, I got a feeling you're riding through some mountains. You're going to have steep banks on both sides. It's going to go down and drop down pretty deep. It does look like this is built on a creek bottom. If you look around this area here, once you get into this area, it's relatively flat. And even in the mountains, you get into a creek bottom, you have some areas where it may have some flat areas, but it's a narrow body of water with a lot of steep stuff on both sides. Right here above the dam, there's a little bit of a point coming down here. Nothing really elongated. I like something a little longer, a little more shallow. If you go over to this section, this starts to pique my interest right here in this area with this. Click out of that stuff. This starts to extend out a lot further into where this bend takes place. That's the kind of stuff that kind of piques my interest a little bit. Depending on the time of the year, what's going on, some of these points here can be places where fish may move up onto. I don't know how much current's in this lake. I don't know how much water they move through there and how quickly, but generally speaking, you would get some of the faster current on the outside of this bend here, which is also the deeper part. This inside, again, depending on how fast the water moves through there, you could get some eddy effects and some breaks from some of that current in that area. So this here would be something I would ride and look at and see what's in here. It's like I said, it's a good difference when you look at the whole lake. It's a change. It's a change, and that's usually what I'm looking for in one of these places. There's another one up here, equally pronounced. You can tell that there is a flow in this direction with it. And again, you've got some steep edges here. You've got some shallower, less steep rolling down kind of a point here. And, it tapers on down. So you've got some variety in what's around there. You've got places where fish can possibly duck out of the current, go into some deep water, and maybe come up onto these points up in here to feed. Look around at some of the other stuff here. These little these little pockets here, these little coves. Sometimes the mouths of these things can hold some fish. Again, if there's a lot of water moving through here, pulling into these pockets for fish are a place that they can escape to and kind of get out of that current. Same thing you're getting over here on this one. And this one gets pretty shallow back in here. I mean, relatively speaking, you're looking at 20 feet of water, 15 feet, 20 back in here, and it deepens on up as it comes on out. So again, some places might be a place for fish to duck out of current. Another little point down here, you see it about any time there's a good bend, you're going to find some kind of a point, something sticking out there. Again, steeper here, very steep right here in this section, and then kind of a little point here to get up onto. Take a look at the bigger picture here, get it back centered on the screen. Looking at, you can tell it is a very elongated lake. I think to get the 2,600 acres out of it, it's got to cover a large area because it is not a very wide area. Now, you get further upstream, pretty much any lake, the further you go upstream, the shallower it's going to get. You get up in here, and there's some interesting little changes here. And anytime you get something like this, you've got an arm coming here on this side. You've got, it's probably a creek arm that feeds in here. It could be a small river, don't really know. You got the main flow coming in here. It's called Alker's Mill. Forgive me, West Virginians, for mispronouncing that, but a lot of changes right in here. There's some stuff over here that almost looks like a little flat, a deeper flat. You've got some stuff here that kind of shallows up some. A lot of changes, a lot of undulations into there. If I was dragging this lake, again, depends on the current, how I'd fish it. That right through there has got a lot of changes and a lot of stuff in a relatively small area. It piques my interest there in what's going on with that. Again, you get up into here, it's starting to get shallow. Not sure how rocky that stuff is. It looks like it's navigable. It's 20 feet of water here when you zoom in and look at the charting. So it's should be plenty deep enough in that area. Get on upstream here, on up. Seems to end somewhere up in here. It's a trail access. This looks pretty shallow. Once you see something like this taking place to where you're coming up 10, 12, 5 feet of water and it gets super shallow, generally that means they quit mapping because it might have gotten too shallow. Could be rocks, could be trees, could be stumps, a lot of stuff in here. This section here, kind of interesting up here. There's a lot of turns and a lot of switchbacks. You know, nothing super well defined with any points or anything. I do like it that kind of switches down. My gut leans further down this way though. Another, what looks like a creek arm here. Possibly a place that could be holding some bait. I don't know. I take a venture and guess maybe there's some bait there in that area. Don't know. That's a really reaching guess there on that area. But just trying to see, where would I go first? If I drop my boat in, let's just say you could put in at the dam. I don't know. These points, as I said, here, those all look like places I'd be investigating. Some of those places, some of those bends. And kind of an interesting pinch over here. You got some flat stuff, deeper flats. You got a point that kind of comes out into here. A lot of changes, a lot of variety, a lot of stuff going in different directions. That's what I look for more than, and I'll try to find you a good example, a place like this. It's just kind of a lot of the same. There's a few little places poking out here, but you know, the bottom's basically the same. It's not that interesting. A stretch through here, not that interesting. Now, what's going to be funny is if some of y'all fish this lake and you go, man, that's where we catch all the big fish at. I mean, it could be. I'm just telling you, this is the way I approach and look at a body of water like that. I want to see the changes. I want to see those lines coming together, the bends, the turns, the creeks coming in. That's what kind of sticks out to me. Again, I don't know what fish are in here. If it's channel catfish, flatheads, if blues have been introduced. This, I would think, is and I'm pretty sure it is basically on the, I don't know, I may be wrong, if this is a Gulf of Mexico drainage, which could have blues and possibly flatheads in it. So I have not looked to see where the drainage is, which side it dumps onto. And what I mean by that is, If you are on a drainage, Tennessee River, Ohio River, Mississippi, all that stuff that dumps into the Gulf of Mexico, most of those waters, blue catfish and flathead catfish, are native to, whereas where I'm at, on the east side of the Appalachian Mountains, the Continental Divide, our stuff dumps into the Atlantic Ocean, and, you know, those drainages don't have blue catfish or flathead catfish in them natively. They have all been introduced, and they're non-indigenous fish to these waters, even though the current world record comes from a lake where the blue catfish is not native. So interesting little factoid there to check out. But yeah, this is an interesting lake. Again, another good bend here, a good U-turn in it. A lot of different little changes there and some stuff. So that's kind of what I'd be looking at in this lake. I don't know, Justin, if you're bank fishing or fishing out of a boat, but you know, if you've got a place that has access to where you can hit shallow water and deep water if you're bank fishing. Obviously, you hear me say that in all my videos. That might be, you know, something to investigate. But that's kind of my take on the lake. And here's my rant for a minute, and this is directed at Garmin. Garmin bought Navionics. When I've done these videos before in the past, I have been using the Navionics chart plotter. I've told thousands of y'all about it. You have downloaded it, used it. You could use it for decades on the website and go look at charts for different lakes. It was a great thing. If you were like me and you purchased a Navionics card for your sonar unit, that data transferred directly over to where you were going fishing out on the water. Great deal. Garmin bought it. Garmin is an electronics manufacturer, manufactures a lot of different types of electronics, including sonar units. They're big into the forward-facing sonar live scope type stuff, and they bought Navionics. And when they did away with the chart viewer online, so you can't do that anymore. So, as a fan of Navionics, and I ain't gonna say I'm not a fan of Garmin, but I'm kind of pissed off with Garmin for doing this. I don't know if that was a money grab, a mistake, ignorance on their part, but my suggestion to you, hashtag Garmin, I hope you see this video, and I hope all the people watching it drop a little note and throw a little hashtag Garmin in there in your comments so that they can see this. Open back up the Navionics app. It's a benefit to the anglers, and I think it brings anglers to the software to come buy it or pay the monthly fee to use it. So that's my rant. Hopefully this helps you, Justin. Thanks for the email. I'm going to do more of these. I'm going to put you a link to this software. Somebody provided a link to it in one of the Reddit groups online that I was looking for answers about this app going away. And I'm going to do some more of these. The software is not that bad. It shows some depths. It shows some contour changes. That's basically what you need. We don't need links and spots for people who caught fish. That's not important. What is important is you guys learning how to figure out how to kind of analyze these lakes and go to places on there that may hold some fish. So hope you enjoyed it. Drop a comment if you liked it. Think about subscribing. We'll talk to you soon.